Good evening and welcome to The Strand. I'm Christina Foxley, the Director of Events, and I'm pleased to welcome Harold Goldberg here tonight to talk about his new book, All Your Base Are Belong to Us, How 50 Years of Video Games Conquered Pop Culture. Harold reveals how in just 50 years, the video game industry now boasts revenues equaling that of Hollywood and a huge consumer base of 70% of Americans playing its games. Harold has reviewed video games for 15 years for such publications as Wired, Entertainment Weekly, Boys Life, The Village Voice, and Radar, and for 3 years penned a widely syndicated gaming column. He has also written on a variety of other subjects for the New York Times, Vanity Fair, Esquire, New York, and Rolling Stone. In addition to his journalism, Goldberg served as editor-in-chief of Sony Online Entertainment during the launch of EverQuest. Following his presentation, Harold will take your questions, and then he'll stick around to sign copies of his book for you, which you can purchase downstairs on your way out of the store. There are some seats up here if anyone in the back would like to come up. And now, please join me in welcoming gaming enthusiast Harold Goldberg to the Strand.
Thanks for coming down. And I just want to thank some people first, and that'll be quick. But it took as all books do, it took a long time to write, about 3 years. So I want to thank Adam Cromie, my agent at Artists and Artisans, and Julian Pavia at Crown, and Caroline Sill and all the marketing department. Mike Snyder at USA Today, Scott Alexander, who talked about it on Sirius Today, Shelley Palmer and Zach Superior, who let me wax like a historian at NBC, Jamila Knowles at the BBC, NPR's Morning Edition, Jim Ledbetter at Reuters, Abby Heppy, Steve Kent, Matt Helgeson, Ken Levine, everybody at Vanity Fair, Chris and Chris at Wired, Joel and Brian at Kotaku, Noah at Fast Company, everyone at G4 TV, the New York Video Game Critics Circle, people at Rockstar, Jeff Keeley at Spike TV, who's going to talk about it tonight on his show, I think, and of course Helen, who listened to me bitch about this for 3 years and did that fine photo in USA Today the other day. So, I'm going to start with front a lot, but I have no rhythm, so it's going to sound like a poem. You are likely to be eaten by a grue. If this predicament seems particularly cruel, consider whose fault it could be. Not a torch or a match in your inventory. Does it descend from there? Adventure to nightmare. Did I battle a snake? Was the treasure intact, or did the TRS-80 in my brain get hacked? That's from It Is Pitch Dark by MC Frontalot. And I'm going to read the introduction and then a little from Rockstar, one of the Rockstar chapters, and then the ending. So, I am Nightmare. I am Nightmare in the deepest darkness, and I am Nightmare even when the brightest halogen burns. I am Nightmare when life is tough and real people around me die. I am Nightmare when I am completely angry at life and need to lash out. I, as Neil Gaiman says, am a dark and stormy nightmare. I have the voice, frightening, growling, ready to attack, like Mercedes McCambridge as the demon Pazuzu in The Exorcist. I carry the sword, the long, heavy, magical blade called Soul Calibur. Within my chest is a jagged maw. It is forever open to reveal a blood-red beating heart engorged after devouring the countless souls whose body I chopped and cut with the burdensome Soul Calibur. Always, I wear a black iron mask, for I am awesomely ugly and evil. So don't mess with me. You will not survive. Give me more souls. I need to snack. In real life, I'm thin and bald, sometimes cute, but never handsome. I have Crohn's disease and I'm often half sick. In my life, I would not punch you or cut you or even insult you, at least not to your face. I would be respectful, understanding, and nice if somewhat cynical. Inside, I would despair and worry. But when I am Nightmare, I am nearly invulnerable. I feel alive and optimistic, full of life, healthy and strong. I know one thing. Sick or not, sometimes I can't stop playing. Time ticks away, the half hour, the hour, the whole evening, and then it's 3 a.m. I'm in the zone, just as I am when writing. Normally, I like to savor a game rather than manically tsunami through it. But I remember spending hours just nosing around in BioShock, the scariest, best game of 2007. At the beginning of the first level, which evokes the first episode of TV's epic Lost, I was tossed from a crashing plane into the ebony ocean, where what seemed to be a skyscraper-tall fire of Hades burned all around me. Panic came over me, and then a feeling that did not mimic real life. There was beauty in the danger. To gawk at the fireworks that played off the grim, foreboding water, I kept swimming even though the gasoline-induced flames kept shooting deep into the defenseless body that was the night sky. Dream, reality, beauty, nightmare. Give me more. Briefly as I play, I even feel immortal. And I am not the only one. You probably have felt some visceral connection to video games as well, no matter how old you are. In the dank confines of the arcade, or the corner dive where the lights were low, you were the plumber who saved the dainty princess in Donkey Kong. As your fingers ached and your joints stiffened, you were the one who couldn't stop playing Tetris. You even had visions of blocks falling softly as snow as you slept. In front of a 19-inch TV, you went long and completed the Hail Mary and Madden football. And as Master Chief, you saved humanity from the gross aliens of the Covenant. You know it is just a game. A video game on a plastic disc that bears the computer bits and bytes, endless numbers that meet with a chip to turn you into Nightmare or Mario or Sonic or Master Chief. But within that disc is magic, as big and entertaining as any movie or TV show. And when that disc spins, it is a Sufi dervish who makes celestial pictures and sounds that are an extension of you and me. So forget this sordid keep up with the Joneses life, with its email spam, inane tweets, bills, mortgages, and recessions. Down the rabbit hole we go to control it all as the hero, for in every video game there is a hero. We admit it. We are junkies who must save the world. But we're game. Believe it or not, we've been gaming for more than 50 years, and man, how it's grown, prospered, and evolved. The video game industry in the United States is now a $20 billion a year juggernaut, surpassing movie, music, and DVD sales combined. Just one game, the Houser Brothers' Grand Theft Auto 4, earned $500 million in its opening week, far outpacing the movie industry's biggest force, James Cameron's Avatar, which earned less than half that amount. 42% of Americans have video game consoles. If you add computers, 68% of us are gamers. And the average age of today's gamer is 35. Almost half of online gamers are female. And they play games with competitive zeal and attitude. And video game consoles are now the guardians of the living room beyond games. They play DVDs, they stream movies from Netflix, they connect to Facebook and Twitter. That's entertainment. And video games have correspondingly become an unstoppable force in popular culture, one that constantly influences other forms of entertainment. From 30 Rock to South Park, video games are the subject of crucial plot points and full episodes. Even more important, they have changed the way blockbuster action films and TV programs are shot. Cars that blow up in Transformers roll toward you, coming at you like they're alive, like something out of Need for Speed or Burnout Paradise. Car commercials feature the characters and monsters from World of Warcraft. Beverage ads are informed by Grand Theft Auto. Sonic the Hedgehog and Pikachu are featured in balloons in the Macy's Day Parade, flying high and proud next to Spider-Man and Buzz Lightyear. Mark Echo designed a full line of clothing devoted to Halo. And the phenomenon is worldwide. You can even buy a box of Pokemon-branded milk in Thailand. And it really tastes bad. How and why did this happen? As a journalist, I've watched the growth for 2 decades now. I've seen the cycles come and go. I've seen the Nintendo dominance end and begin again, more powerful than before. But as the trends come and go, I keep thinking about the big riddle of video games. How did we get here? How did video games rise to take over pop culture? I've watched in amazement as the video game industry, like that Energizer Bunny, keeps going and going. How does it get bigger every year, even as the mainstream media continue to turn up their noses at video game culture? And isn't that utterly idiotic? Why aren't games reviewed alongside books, movies, and pop music? Those questions have always fascinated me, but another process, that of an individual game's creation, only really captured my imagination when I worked for 2 years as editor-in-chief of Sony Online Entertainment. There I was witness to the fascinating, if sometimes daunting, way games were made. I helped with the words to many games, and I helped test them too, including the massively multiplayer online role-playing game of Elves and Ogres, EverQuest, often called EverCrack because of its insanely addictive nature. I was absolutely intrigued by the creation of games, utterly entranced by even the smallest nugget about, yes, how they were made, but even more why they were made. There was nothing better than being inside that womb of knowledge. I felt the same way at VH1, where I wrote the daily Game Break blog and worked on Viacom papers full of tech speak to help the company soldier forward during the casual game revolution. After those experiences, when a game struck me as ingenious, a cut or two above the rest, I wanted to know all about it and the people who imagined it. Questions for the game makers would pop into my head like those constantly falling blocks in Tetris. What could the game have become if you didn't have to worry about sales? What did you fight to retain when those heavy-handed executives from the megacorporation chimed in with their say? Overall, why did the game work? And why did it tickle and charge my neurons, axons, receptors, and thalamus, making me completely and utterly bliss out? Was it because the game itself was a triumph of the craft, or because I could feel completely comfortable living in the game's world? Was my nerdy perception exactly on par with the game makers, or did the game permit my own imagination to grow and flourish in ways that I previously believed only books and music could? And finally, when a game was really terrific, when it grabbed my heart and soul just like Alice Sebold did with The Lovely Bones or Joseph Conrad with Heart of Darkness, why could I not stop playing? There have been other books about video games, books that talk about facts, money, technology, books that personalize the experience of gaming, books that detail the trends, books that simply tell you how to play a game. I've read many and have enjoyed some of them. But there have been few books that, to rephrase Robert Frost, began with delight and ended in wisdom. Few books that led me to feel those completely exciting aha moments of creation and camaraderie, of theorizing and implementation, of process and panic, of wild success and looming deadline doom, that I know from experience go into making the finest games. Most of all, there have been none that convincingly told me how we got here. That's what I've tried to capture in these pages. You will find out how the world of game making profoundly affected those artists and craftspeople who made Super Mario Bros., Pong, Myst, Spore, EverQuest, BioShock, Shadow Complex, and more, and not always in a positive way. Each of these changed video games forever, and the untold facts, fascinating anecdotes, and heretofore buried details about these pieces of popular art tantalized me. But I also wanted to explore the larger question: how in the pantheon of games did each of these help the medium evolve enough to keep you and me excited for all these decades, these crazy 50 years? I don't try to look at every moment of video game history in these pages, and I won't look at every video game franchise, for that way lies madness and redundancy. Instead, I've chosen to detail some moments of supreme discovery and utter failure by the brilliant inventors and craftspeople who gave innovation, personality, and even drama to an industry that altered my life, and when you think about it, made a big difference in yours too. If you know games, you know what I mean. If you don't, I hope that in the course of reading these chapters, you will feel it like I so often feel it, with surprise, pleasure, panic, awe, goosebumps, and exhilaration.